Have you ever wondered why some people actually seem to thrive in the gray area between catching feelings and actually going into a commitment? Well, this is what is called the situationship. It's that gray area in between actually being interested in somebody and wanting to hang out with them, but before you decide that you want to be in some kind of commitment. And avoidance often feel the most comfortable there, or so it seems. And in today's video, I am going to take you through 6 major reasons that avoidants tend to prefer situationship type relationships. And at the end of this video, we are going to cover what you can actually do if you want to move the needle. So, number one is that fearful avoidants often struggle in relationships. They struggle with these big core wounds around trust, and they tend to have a lot of limiting beliefs in general about relationships being able to be happy, productive, beneficial. And so, what essentially often happens is fearful avoidants will get into these situations where, like, imagine you at a subconscious level have a belief, AKA something you truly believe at the subconscious level of mind, that all relationships will end up in chaos, or people will always get bored and leave eventually, or people grow apart in relationships and then they just get stuck there out of comfort but are unhappy. There can be a variety of other limiting beliefs fearful avoidants have about relationships, but because of being exposed to painful relationship dynamics that are often modeled to them, either directly or indirectly in their childhood and upbringing, fearful avoidants are likely to see these sorts of painful and challenging scenarios, which cause them to believe that this is what relationships are. This is what they look like. This is the outcome that's most likely to happen. And so it can be really scary to commit to opening your heart, investing completely into a relationship, putting all those eggs into one basket, when at a subconscious level, this is what you think the outcome will be. It's like, on some level, you think you're investing in your own pain. And this often explains a big portion of that push pull dynamic with fearful avoidance in general. It's like they have one foot in and one foot out because they want something, they want love, they want connection. They're wired to care about those things. And yet those things terrify them simultaneously, especially because of the projected long term outcomes. So, this is a big reason you'll see fearful avoidance kind of like treating people like they're in a relationship with them without wanting to put the label on, without wanting to really take the next steps, because they think in taking those next steps, they're then investing in that inevitable painful outcome. Number two is that they have trust wounds. And if you're just in the dating stage, what we'll often see is fearful avoidants thrive in the dating stage. They show up, they are the best version of themselves. But once a deep attachment has formed, once there's a commitment, once there's, some kind of conversation about, this is now a relationship, now to a fearful avoidance, something can be broken. The trust can be broken, the commitment can be broken. We've made this commitment. And once that's there, it now triggers those trust wounds at a subconscious level. And now the fearful avoidant can really feel like, okay, we made a plan, now something can be broken. And it's almost like they're waiting for the other shoe to drop because they have such a challenged relationship to trust, due to usually having trust broken directly or indirectly quite frequently in their childhood. So with those trust wounds can come, hey, I just don't even want to deal with commitment and labels and all these different things. Let's just stay in this kind of dating stage where we don't have to deal with the pain of the potential for broken trust. And it's interesting because different attachment styles aren't carrying that to the same degree. So what you'll see is that fearful avoidance are sort of like, walking on eggshells around trust and commitment. Whereas other attachment styles, it may seem like the logical next step. Because of that fear to the FA, they may really try to sort of keep things at bay and just stay in that kind of situationship territory. Number three, fearful avoidants at the end of the day do have a fairly strong degree of need for novelty, for exploration, for discovery. They're used to essentially operating outside of their comfort zone. It's like their comfort zone is to operate outside of their comfort zone. And usually it's because in their childhood or upbringing, especially around attachment-based relationships, there was a lot of chaos. And so they're kind of comfortable in the chaos. And the idea of like sticking to something, being stable, consistent, seeing it through, all these different things, they can almost feel a little bit confining to fearful avoidance from time to time. Of course, until a fearful avoidant does the work to reprogram those fears and also does the work to regulate their nervous system function so they can be more in rest and digest mode, parasympathetic nervous system mode, rather than this fight or flight mode that they're sort of operating from a lot of the time. And in doing that, that can actually increase their ability to enjoy and sort of reap the rewards from stable, committed relationships. But until that point, they can feel kind of confusing. And fearful avoidance can feel like, what if I miss out? What if something else happens? What if, I want to change something long term? Now, it's also really valuable to realize that if you want to change things, a lot of things in relationships can change through proper communication. And to realize that sometimes if fearful avoidants are afraid of missing out on other connections, other potential romantic relationships, that sometimes that's also rooted in a little bit of limerence. I have other videos about limerence on this channel, but that deep attraction and infatuation that comes, that seems to be like a little bit destabilizing or distracting. Sometimes that's rooted in like our own repressed traits or unhealed wounds, and or somebody meeting needs that we're really struggling to meet in the relationship to ourselves or in other areas of our lives. And so we can meet somebody and be like, wow, this person, they make me feel so seen. But it can be because you're not making yourself feel seen. You're not looking out for your own needs, your own boundaries. You're not checked into your own emotions. And so when somebody gives that to you on the outside, it can make us feel like, whoa, like there's this huge attraction here. But what attraction is largely based off of, or at least one big portion of it, is people meeting our needs at a subconscious level. So if there's a lot of limerence in a fearful avoidant, if they're struggling with that, that can also make them feel afraid to commit because they know that they're going to have these sort of pulls in many different directions. So you'll find generally as somebody becomes more securely attached, they actually become less limerent. And I still have two other big things here to talk about, um, but I really want to say for just a moment, if you are hearing yourself in some of the limerence, there is a whole course we have inside the personal development school about limerence, how to recondition it, how to still enjoy that like attraction and infatuation in relationships and dynamics, but not for it to be like destabilizing, not for it to like pull you in a million different directions, not for it to be something that actually disempowers you in your life because you're so focused on relationships all the time that you don't know how to have your own domain and invest in the relationship to yourself and get ahead in your career and have boundaries around a budget and finances and really figure out who you are and what you want in the mental, emotional, spiritual areas of life and show up for your physical health and well-being. Like if you just keep going into attraction and crushes and infatuation and relationships, and that seems to be just this huge focus for you in your life, there's work to do on limerence so that you can still be excited about dating and feel that like infatuation, but not that it's this like almost addictive thing. And that can be something that actually all insecure attachment styles struggle with, not just fearful avoidance, also APs and dismissive avoidance. If you're interested in helping make a huge impact on other people's lives while also building financial freedom, I'm offering an early bird 50% discount on our integrated attachment theory relationship certification program that will help you become a certified integrated attachment theory relationship coach and build your own thriving practice by the end of 12 weeks. This 12-week on-demand program will help you kickstart your new career by teaching you revolutionary tools and strategies that help clients transform their lives and relationships. Build your own coaching practice and set yourself up for a waitlist of clients and financial success. Even if you have no coaching experience, this program will give you very in-depth tools, resources, and confidence to get started in a matter of weeks. And you can learn more information by clicking the link down below. Next thing, sometimes you'll see fearful avoidants feel afraid of losing the relationship to themselves. Because fearful avoidants tend to relate to people in a codependent or enmeshed way, they sort of are boundaryless. They often feel like once they're in a relationship, they have to kind of throw the relationship to themselves away. Like, oh, my needs don't matter. I can't have boundaries. So when I'm in a relationship, it's just me meeting all that person's needs, being who they need me to be, not having boundaries with them, doing whatever they want to do. And sometimes fearful avoidance will kind of go through this cycle of like operating that way until it becomes too frustrating and then getting angry and then finally setting boundaries from anger. but struggling to set boundaries in general first. And that puts you on a trajectory towards like you're on the roller coaster. If you only set boundaries when you're frustrated and you don't know your yeses and nos in real time and don't feel safe evaluating them and getting in touch with them and communicating them, then you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to feel overwhelmed by relationships or burnt out, or like there's this feeling of being taken advantage of, or this injustice around it, feeling like it's always just about the other person. But you have a duty to actually show up for the relationship to yourself too. And sometimes when we struggle there, it can be because we're just wired and programmed with a lot of codependent or enmeshed patterns. I have a whole course about that inside PDS too, codependency and enmeshment. Anyways, number 5 is if you struggle to feel like you can express your needs. So if a fearful avoidant is afraid to actually share what they need, again, they'll try to avoid commitment and getting out of that situationship territory because they go, okay, like I have to get my own needs met on my own time. And then, if I'm just dating somebody casually, I don't have to invest so much in such an intense way where I can't get my needs met from that person. And again, it has to do with that same kind of dynamic from number 4, which is just that codependent structure of relating means that you're usually not feeling safe and comfortable to be vulnerable about expressing what you truly need. And then you feel like commitment's so scary because you end up committing to a one-sided relationship. Right. And so much power comes from, and so much like reciprocal care comes from being able to communicate what you need from somebody as well and show up for that and feel safe to share that with somebody else in your life. So I hope this makes sense. 5 big reasons you're avoidant stay in situationships. And of course, if you see yourself in any of those reasons, you know what to do. Or if you're the partner of an FA and you're trying to get out of that situationship territory, having some insight into this and then being able to encourage them to express their needs, share their boundaries, learn to trust, share more context for things and transparency, and be really considerate of the FA. All of those things really help them to learn to trust as well. So anyways, that's it for today. Just let me know your comments below, any questions you have, maybe some of your personal struggles and situationships with FAs, or if you are an FA, what shows up for you when you struggle to really make that next step to commitment, or what scares you about commitment in general. And that's it for today. And yeah, please subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying it. And I will see you in the next video.